This episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast is brought to you by Distilled Experiences, a local Kentucky tour group where you can find your experience at distilledexperiences.com and use the promo code MyBourbonPodcast for 15% off any public tours. One more time, it is distilledexperiences.com. Any public tours, you get 15% off with the code MyBourbonPodcast. Let's start the show! Welcome to this week's episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I am your host, Perry. It's the first time in this year and this decade that Curtis and Swan are sitting down with me, and I've missed them. Hello, guys.
Hello. What's up?
Hi, buddies.
Where's the sun and the 80-degree weather that I was having?
Oh, yeah, Mr. I travel, Mr. I went to Hawaii, and it was beautiful and perfect, and you stayed on the big island, which I now know is called Hawaii. Because I'm an idiot, and I didn't realize that was what it was actually called.
Yeah. Where's the ocean, too?
About 300 miles that way.
Okay, gotcha.
Wait, that way. I don't know. I'm not good with directions.
Doesn't matter.
Swan, you're the bird of the group.
Nobody saw you pointing anyway, so you could have just said that way and gotten away with it.
Yeah, and I don't know directions. Don't birds have that weird, like, magnetic thing that just pulls them down to, like, south or whatever?
Didn't you fly south for the winter?
No, I'm still here. How am I doing the podcast?
I thought you came back just for this.
Well, I mean, that's true. It did get up to, like, 60 degrees for Christmas. And now we're back down to 20. Ta-da!
Hooray! Yeah. Anyway, so we're back into our regular episodes, finally. It's been kind of a weird gray area of, like, what's going on with the podcast over the past few weeks. And everybody always says, you know, that period between Christmas and New Year's where you're not really sure what day it is or what to do. And, like, that's been basically the beginning of December until right now for me. And I think I'm happy to finally have you guys back in and back on track. And it's going to be a really cool year of episodes. And we've got some really exciting things in the works. And I won't spoil anything for you right now, but just stay tuned for it, is all I'm going to say. Should we start with Flying Blind?
Yeah.
Let's do it. I didn't finish my Elijah Craig from the pregame chats. Which, by the way, if you are not yet, every week for Patreon, if you're not a patron is what I was trying to say, you get what we are calling the pregame chats, where we record about 20 to 30 minutes before we start doing the main episode, get warmed up and everything. This week, we talked about something that ties into one of our later topics in this episode. So patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast is where you can go and find those at the $5 tier. You guys gave very disconcerting looks about this Flying Blind.
I'm excited.
Okay. It was a good face.
Well, yeah, it was a good face for me, too.
I'm confused, but excited. As with most experiences in my life.
Confused.
That's the Swan motto, I feel like.
Have you ever taken vanilla beans and shoved them directly into your nostrils? Because I feel like I just did.
Can't say I have, my friend.
See, I think what has happened is I've taken vanilla beans and roses with, like, rose water. Mixed it all up, and then shoved it in my nose.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean.
Can this be the next Grater's ice cream flavor? Because it smells delicious.
Yeah.
I think it tastes even better.
It does. I've already tried it.
Oh, man. This was a surprise Christmas gift to me, which I'll talk about in a minute.
This has got to be dusty.
It is dusty.
Yeah.
It is very dusty. Do you just want to know what it is?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
let's talk about it.
No, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I want to talk about it.
Okay, sure. What are you experiencing then?
What am I experiencing?
By the way, we talked about this again on the pregame chats. Swan and I are a little bit stuffed up, but it's fine.
Now that I've shoved vanilla bean in my nose, I can smell everything. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm getting like a vanilla buttercream kind of.
Yeah, buttercream is a great way of putting it.
That's it. I think that's it. Like, not even, it's like real buttercream too. It's not like the crappy ones in the little tub that come in that I eat like ice cream.
Yeah.
No, it's like real buttercream.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I had this the other night, and while it was still good, I had a slightly adverse reaction to it, and I don't know what it was, but there was some kind of like tobacco note on the nose that I wasn't picking up, or that I'm not picking up now, but I was picking up then. And it wasn't like cigar tobacco, it was like cigarette tobacco. And I was like, but happy to say that it's not there anymore.
This does seem like one of those things that if you had, and you need one pour of this. I feel like if you had too much of it, it would almost be.
You get lead poisoning?
Okay, yeah. There's a hint right there. Came from a decanter. No, I feel like it would be, you just kind of lose respect for it a little bit because there's so much going on.
Well, it was from a decanter. It is dusty. This was sent to me by Santa Cletus.
Yes. Ah, yes. Everybody knows Santa Cletus.
Yeah, Santa Cletus.
Good old Santa Cletus.
It's a 1970 Jim Beam decanter. It's Germany. 100 years old. Jeez. 100-month-old, 86 proof. Do you know why he sent me the Germany one?
No.
Because Ritter is German for night.
Wow.
Oh.
Did you know that?
I did know that.
That's cool.
Yeah. So really cool. Travis, thank you so much for sending this my way. I'll be savoring this for a long time.
Yeah.
I would say. It's so good, man. I just love these Dusty Beams. I think that they're always phenomenal. I've not had a bad one yet.
No. I wish my last name was something cool. It just means multiples of things. It's just extra. More of something.
Is that it?
I don't know what else it could stand for.
You Only there were a way for us to find out.
I think they added an O at one point because, like, they just had MORE for the last name.
I don't know what
Conrad means.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't think it has a meaning.
This is not good bourbon podcast content. We'll talk about this off air.
I want to be a knight. I want to get knighted with a barrel stave or something.
That's the way to go, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, that was Flying Blind. Guys, what have you been drinking recently?
Maker's Mark.
You drank a whole 375 of it.
Well, you didn't have to tell him how much, but yes, I did. I had
That was a direct result of the new job you started, so.
Just needed to relax a little, No, I just had a good amount of Maker's Mark.
Black out a little.
You're blacking out on a 375 of a 90 proof weeder?
No, I had enough breadsticks to soak that up a little bit. But yeah, no, it was good. Honestly, I was kind of surprised. Like, I've never been a big fan of Maker's Mark, but when I the first little bit that I had, I actually just sipped on it a little bit to kind of get acclimated to it. It's a little aggressive for the proof and for a weeder, but honestly, if you can get past that aggression, it's kind of solid. It's not bad at all. I do see why a lot of people say that's the thing to cut with Coke because it really mellows it out.
Gotcha.
But it's not bad at all. I did try doing a Maker's Mark and Coke with it as well, just to see how that went, and I liked it a lot better than just the Jim Beam white label people usually mix with Coke. So
I haven't had a bourbon and Coke in forever.
Well, it was a bourbon and Coke Zero, so it wasn't real, but it was not bad.
I like Coke Zero.
It's not bad. It does taste more like the original than I think Diet Coke does.
Yeah, see, I don't like the taste of Diet Coke. It's either regular Coke or Coke Zero, or the Coke from Coca-Cola from Mexico.
That stuff's good.
They use real sugar.
Yeah,
that stuff's the bomb.
Mine's either Coke or water.
I don't drink a whole lot of soft drinks.
I don't like Diet Coke. Diet Coke's gross.
You're just going right for the jugular there. No, I don't think it's that good either.
Yeah. Either
personally.
way, I've been drinking J.W. Dant and T.W. Samuels.
Yeah, because you went hunting.
I went hunting a little bit yesterday.
And I'll let you tell us.
About what?
About your hunting experience.
Oh, yeah. So we went down to Richmond, and we just were going all over the place, to small places, to seedy places that you don't want to be,
Names of stores that we will retract from.
Yeah,
this
I don't
episode.
even remember them, to be honest. So
I do.
Yeah. So we went to one, and just to set the environment, you walk in, it's just like there's a solid 20 80-year-olds that are just smoking, still smoking in the little liquor store, and then like they had I kid you,
in the liquor
yeah,
store.
I kid you not, they have like bottles of old scotch from who knows how
Yeah.
long, and then on the shelf you see Weller 12-year, and you sit there and you go, oh. But then you look at it and you're like, "Hey, this is $130," and I said, "I'm all right.
I mean, honestly,
Not bad.
no,
yeah.
that's cheaper than what you get it for on secondary.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, secondary is what, like 150, 175, something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
So
Going
I
up
mean,
every
like
day.
if you're looking for, and yes, it's a tad ridiculous, but
yeah,
at
no,
the same
it's
time,
not as bad as. It was just funny.
yeah.
We walked in. And she was like, "Can I see your IDs?" It's like, yeah, because I'm sure we're not the crowd that's supposed to be in there either, and or not the usual crowd. Then we went to another one and went and looked on the shelf. There's nothing. There's like 4 bottles on the shelf, and we walked past, and the guy goes, "Can I help you find anything?" And I said, we're just hunting bourbon. Just wanted to see what you guys had. And he goes, "Well, I got some Stagg Junior. If you want some of that." And I said, "How much do you want for it?" And he said, $100, but we'll do it with no tax. So like we won't. I was like,
I'll be honest with you. I'm close to a buy at that price
Are
with
you?
no tax.
yeah,
I mean, I would strongly consider it.
yeah.
and
I mean,
it's,
I just wasn't. I was looking to spend like $30.
Yeah, sure.
So I knew like I wasn't going to be buying any of this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm at a point where yes, it's cool to like go and hunt for stuff like that, but I'd rather hunt for like store picks.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Or some older bottles. that you
yeah,
can find.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And that kind of stuff happens every now and then.
Yeah.
That you run across it, but for the most part,
I've had a few of those stores, one of which closed down, so I can disclose it now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but there was a store attached to a gas station, kind of,
You've talked about this one
with just
couple times.
no sign on it at all.
that store closed down.
Completely closed.
Really?
Yeah. Or at least they've not had a bourbon delivery in like 3 months.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
We've talked about that one.
Yeah.
It's in between Frankfurt and Owenston.
Yes. Yeah. And you walk in and there's no one behind the counter, and there's usually like 4 people and a dog in the back just playing pool.
The dog was playing pool.
Yeah. It was great. He was so good too. Knew his angles. It was fantastic.
7-ball corner pocket.
Called his shots like a pro. Yeah, but you walk in and it's just like old granddad, just older label, but not really anything special. The 80 proof, and then they have like Voyage 3
Yeah,
Jeffersons on the shelf, and there wasn't ever anything super great in there. And then I walked in one time, and I kid you not, they had handles, they had 750s of Weller, they had like 6 bottles of Weller 107. Like 3 or 4 bottles of Stagg Junior. They had Blanton's on the
Taylor
shelf.
small batch.
E.H. Taylor small batch, all for retail. And the Stagg Junior that they had up there were like 4 different batches.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, what happened? He said, well, we just had them in the back, and we figured we'd go ahead and put them out. How long have they been back there?
Yeah.
That was one of the best days ever when you told me that store existed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it was like an off day of work for me or something. And I was like, well, I'm going to go drive up and see how much is left. I mean, they still had like half a case of Taylor left. They still had handles of Weller. And I still kind of feel bad about this.
Oh, the
because-
Elijah Craig 12. It's all good. Now that picks are coming out, I'm fine.
Well, sure, yeah, but it was a rear age stated Elijah Craig 12 year, which Swan picked up and looked at and said, not age stated. And I picked up and looked at the same exact bottle, and it was age stated. So I nabbed it.
Okay.
But that was the same bottle that the lid separated from the cork on my live stream.
Oh yeah.
I got revenge. Yeah.
Karma.
Yeah. And they also had like a handle of Bourbon Deluxe. Remember
Yeah,
that?
I got that bottle.
Yeah.
It's behind my bar.
My favorite is they put the price on that thing. They just wrote in
It's
Sharpie
it's
on the
written
front
on it.
label.
Yeah, it was like $17 or
Yeah.
something like that.
That was
which is
it.
pretty fantastic.
I don't know. The little store was strange, but they stopped getting stuff in. And when they did get stuff in, it was just, I don't know why they decided to order it. It was like some rep came in and just really swindled them, and they just
Yeah.
put it on the shelf.
But yeah, the experience was fun. We just were.
I love bourbon
We
hunting.
were bored, and we were just like,
Sure.
all right, let's go.
I haven't gone hunting in a long time.
Yeah.
I just haven't had the time for it. But I was texting you about it yesterday, and I was like, that sounds kind of nice.
Yeah.
I might have to go do that this week.
Yeah.
So I might take a trip down to Richmond and see a couple friends and
Yeah, exactly.
do that. Anything else you've been drinking?
Nope, that's been about it.
So for whatever reason, for me, it's kind of been Four Roses heavy, and maybe it's because we're now drinking what was my number one of 2019, which is the Four Roses Small Batch Select. But I picked up a bottle of that the other day, and I also the Merrick Inn is a local inn and restaurant here in Lexington. Kurt, you used to live over right near there.
Yep.
And they have done 2 picks of Four Roses that have been 9/11 commemorative bottles. This one was picked on 9/11 2019. And it just so happened to be my favorite Four Roses recipe, which is OBSO.
Oh, okay.
I've never owned a bottle of OBSO. I've only ever had it in different situations. Like Iverson came over and had it with me one time, and like I'd always get it at OBC when I'd go there and everything. But this is the first bottle of it that I've ever had, and it's halfway gone because it's really, really good. It's 10 years, 11 months, 59.3%, which is what, like 118.6?
Come here, calculator. Let's figure this out.
Bourbon and math do not mix. But yeah, OBSO has long been my favorite. 118.6. All right. Long been my favorite recipe of Four Roses, and it's really hard to find because they use it so much for blending. Like, I think it goes into the small batch. It also goes into the brown label, which used to be the yellow label. But they just need it so much that it's not always found in single barrel form. And so having it is kind of special. I'm really happy to have this bad boy around. As I look over my plethora of bottles that are sitting around on my floor, as I normally do. I'll tell you one. This isn't something I've been drinking, but something that I picked up recently. And I saw it on a website where you can buy bourbon at secondary prices. We won't talk about that on air, but it was just an airplane bottle. I talked to you guys about this before the show, of the first release of Knob Creek Small Batch, which I didn't know existed in this form, but it was from 1993, which is my birth year. And so I was like, I got to get this bottle. And I mean, it's not a whole lot, but I mean, it's something special to open, on my birthday this year. So figured, why the heck not do that? And it was at a really good price too. So I had to jump on it. Swan, you look like...
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm just invested.
Oh, okay, yeah. The other thing too...
Is that the one that I open and drink?
Oh, no. The other one is what might be the best 1792 foolproof I've ever had.
Wow. Interested.
I've got a bottle on the way. I just have a sample right now.
I have something for you next week, too, when we record. Yeah.
I'm excited.
It's from the Speakeasy, Wisconsin. Our friends Troy and Jeff run that over on Facebook. And it's called Scott's Holy Grail. It's amazing. I mean, it's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, like I took one sip of it and I messaged Troy and I said, I need this.
Yeah.
I was like, this is one of the best store picks I've ever had. So I'm excited to have a full bottle of it coming.
No doubt.
And you can have some of that if you want. Oh, you know what you guys haven't had the 1792 12 year yet.
Have not.
No, yeah.
Well, lucky for you, it's basically within arm's reach if I stand up.
I see that.
His arms are huge. I've got a bourbon from Honolulu that's finished in rum casks.
No, what? That's very...
Yeah, we'll bring that next week.
What?
I've got a bourbon from Honolulu that's
No, I
finished
heard you.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Yeah. I'll bring it next week. It's a little sample bottle.
There's a Honolulu bourbon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
I'll bring it in.
Just there.
Okay.
It's just a little...
right.
I've got probably about that much.
Fair enough. As long as you're willing to share it on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you didn't know, Kurt just got back from Hawaii.
True.
You went to Hawaii?
And it's the large
large island.
It's the big one.
I learned something.
Yeah.
You know, for people who say this podcast doesn't teach people anything, it taught me something.
I know. We're putting this podcast in the educational category after this.
I'm thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about it really seriously. Well, that's what we've been
For the
drinking
record,
recently.
they do call it the Big Island of Hawaii. Like...
we should have gotten a t-shirt while you were there that said that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what we've been drinking recently. Shall we move on to some news?
Hit me.
Okay. So the biggest bit of news that came out over the past few days, and this actually ties into a listener question. This is from Eric. Nope, not Eric Smith. This is from Ryan Jeeves. He said, thoughts on MGP's stock losing 25% on not meeting their expectations.
What expectations are they not meeting?
I believe that they weren't selling as much product as they were hoping to based on their investment, if that makes sense.
You think?
Go ahead.
Do you think that's like a product of people taking the Bardstown Bourbon Company approach, where they are blending their own product, even at a younger age, at like 6 months, in with older source product, just to cut out maybe getting all of their barrels from somebody like MGP?
Potentially, but I don't know. I think that, yeah, there is possibility in that, you know, people are either starting to move towards more locally sourced, or they have their own distillate.
Mm.
But at the same time, I mean, MGP has their own labels out. And I mean, people are still going there to purchase product for their own label. I don't know. It's kind of a weird situation for them to be in. Right? Like,
Yeah.
It seems like most of it is based on, most of the concern is based on their stock market price, or the value of their stock. Right? So in terms of money making, and if we're looking at something that could be a sign of the bourbon boom ending, this could kind of be it, or at least maybe the first few steps. You know, if people are not buying as much product as they once were, I mean, that's kind of an indication that the tide is shifting in the market.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. I do know that a lot of the stuff that I've seen sourced recently from MGP, when they do get it in through a smaller distiller and they put it out by themselves, the prices on it are exponential. So maybe they just don't need to sell as much.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if I can buy 2 barrels and sell it for the same price as I could move 5 barrels, why would I buy 5?
Absolutely.
You know? Not saying that's great for the consumer, because I'm looking at stuff like, you know, Blonde Brothers, and it's, you know, price is ridiculous on it. Even if it's good, but it's pricey. You know, I'm not going to jump on that bottle if I see it.
Mm-mm.
but somebody's going to buy it. It's not going to sit there. And if they only have to move 2 barrels, then why move 5?
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
I don't know.
I really do think that it's maybe not necessarily a sign of the end of the bourbon boom. I think it's just more of a sign of people either having their own distillate or moving towards, like we said, the Bardstown Bourbon Company approach, where it's a more locally known group of folks, locally owned business. You know, I mean, when you think about how much bourbon comes out of Kentucky, you know, 95% of the world's bourbon comes out of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just kind of makes sense that people are looking more inward than they are across state lines.
I could see it being a sign of maybe a slowing down, but I don't know. I don't think it's the end of anything by any
No.
means.
I'm not saying that it, like, this is it. Like, this defines this is a definite end point.
No, sure.
But yeah, I do think that you know, as the market ebbs and flows, as it is wont to do, I mean, you know, any market is going to see that change.
Yeah.
I think that, this is kind of a plateau moment
I agree.
for the bourbon industry. And that...
And I also do think that it is, like you were saying, that I think there has become a sort of respect, a certain level of respect that having your own distillate kind of has.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which
there
I think
is.
is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the distilleries have had to deal with for years people saying, well, you didn't make your own product.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, and it really shouldn't bother anyone that it's coming from somewhere else, but I don't know. Maybe that's they're reading into their reviews.
You said something there that made the cogs in my brain start turning. Distilleries are coming under fire from people for saying or for not producing their own product.
Yeah,
They're not distilleries at that point.
that's true.
They're basically farmland that is aging whiskey.
Yeah.
So what is that name? Is there a name for it at that point? I mean, bourbon farms? Whiskey farms?
I don't know.
I mean, unless they are actually distilling on site, can they legally be called distilleries?
I guess not, but I mean, the majority of them are distilling their own product. It's just not ready.
Not old enough. Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean,
So I'm not.
I mean, they would be called master blenders, but as far as what the actual land is called or like the company itself,
Blenderies.
Blenderies. Yeah, no, I have no idea. Because I mean, Dixon's very clear on what he does. He's like, I'm a blender. I'm not a distiller, which
Yeah.
I really appreciate the clarity on that. Because then you look at other companies like, let's see, Widow Jane that are like, oh, we're pulling it out of the creek behind, right behind the distillery, and you're like, well, no, you're not.
But that's MGP.
You're just not. I mean, I appreciate the clarity. I still like the name distillery, even if they're not doing it.
No,
I understand that that's not technically correct, but I don't know what else to call it. So
I don't really either, but I'm curious what that name could be. And maybe there's terminology for it that I'm not aware of.
Barrel Farms, I like it.
There's just barrels walking around like cows.
Yeah.
And instead of mooing, they go bourbon.
Oh no.
That's bad.
Oh, there's the Dickel cow.
Sorry.
He's eating so much corn again. Go get him.
Anyway, I don't think that it's necessarily the end of all of the things, but at the same time, it's
a change.
It's a change.
It's a change in the market of somehow. Or
Right.
You've also just got a lot of new players in town. I mean, think about it. Bardstown
Absolutely.
Bourbon Company, going back to them, not only are they blending some of their newer product into it, they're sending out a crap load of their stuff they distilled to other people to age.
They are doing so much contract distilling.
Yeah, all that contract distilling inside of Kentucky can easily slow down a big competitor like MGP.
Well, and Castle and Key's doing the same thing.
Yeah,
You
and
know, Pinhook's own distillate is coming from Castle and Key.
yeah, and
So, yeah, I mean, those are two, at this point, fairly major players. So,
you can even just look at like the stuff they put out, Eight and Sand, Remus, some of that other stuff. Maybe it's just not doing well, because I've seen Remus just sit on the shelf, but that Volstead stuff, it flew. I mean, people were waiting in line for bottles of that 14-year they put out. But the 10-year and the 8, was it an 8-year?
I think so.
They just sit there.
But the question has to be asked, why? Is it the age? Is it the fact that it's bottled in bond? That it flew off the shelf so quickly that people are waiting for it? I mean,
I think it's just the limited edition mindset. I won't see it again. People just got that.
Is it?
I mean,
I honestly don't know.
Well, when it comes to,
I'm not playing devil's advocate.
Sure,
I'm legitimately asking.
Yeah, I could see it being more of a company, whoever's putting it out, even though it's not, it's MGP. The company itself might not just market it well, or they might not know, how to do that.
I have not seen
Whether
much of
they're
a
new or
presence
something like that.
for MGP stuff unless I'm at a bourbon event specifically, because the people they had at Bourbon on the Banks, phenomenal.
They were great.
They absolutely killed it. We said we're interested in trying one of their products, and I kid you not, they brought us one of every single thing, including the vodka, knowing full well we were a bourbon podcast.
Yeah.
And most of it was pretty good. Admittedly, not my favorite stuff, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe they just don't market it well. I mean, the bottle's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. It doesn't jump off the shelf. But if I'm like perusing in a small liquor store and that's all they've got, then I'm like, well, I'm taking this home.
Mm-hmm. And that has nothing to do with MGP. So I could see that being where a lot of the fall off is they make the distillate, but they don't.
Yeah, if
they don't do anything after that.
Yeah,
if they've got so much tied up in that new bottling line of Remus and Eight and Sand, and it's just not selling though, that could still hurt their stock.
Yeah,
I would be really interested to know what their output is like versus what is actually aging on site.
Yeah,
I have no idea what those numbers would look like, but I am really, really interested to find out how much are they actually distilling versus what is actually being, aged in barrels at their distillery or in their rick houses or whatever.
We'll take an invite anytime, MGP. Have us
I
up.
would love
that'd be cool
to do an episode at MGP, and maybe that can be something we can do for 2020. So we'll chat about it. Yeah. Next bit of news comes from the Old Forester camp.
Oh, I'm excited about this.
And this also was brought to my attention by a question by our buddy of the show, Alan Cornett, who does a really good podcast called Eat Kentucky, which is all about local eateries.
His Instagram makes me so hungry.
It really does.
All the time.
It really does. He's a great dude. I've had the opportunity to have lunch with him on multiple occasions, and we're going to have him on the podcast at some point this year too. But his question was, any thoughts on the new changes to the Old Forester Barrel Select program? So they did something really interesting. Originally, their single barrels were at 90 proof, and they bumped it up to one of two different options. It could either be 100 proof, or it could be barrel strength. Is this good for the bourbon industry? And do you think that this is going to pave the way for other distilleries to do this type of thing?
Four Roses is already doing it. It works great for them.
Sure.
I think they should have been doing this already.
Old Forester?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think they've seen a lot of people, all of us, Chad and Sarah, and many others I've talked to included, say, I'm not a big Old Forester fan, but the 1920 is great. Well, what's different about the 1920? It's getting close to barrel proof. People that genuinely don't really buy into the Brown-Forman product, when it gets into that barrel proof range, they like it.
Mm-hmm.
Why have you not been putting out more barrel proof stuff if that's the case? I don't get it. I think this is a great move. I think they should have been doing it for a while.
I don't disagree with you at all. I think that they definitely made a great decision to do that. I think it's really interesting that they are kind of following that Four Roses model of having two different options for single barrels. But I personally don't know if it's going to change the game for other distilleries. I think that we're always going to see Buffalo Trace store picks at 90 proof. We're always going to see Elijah Craig store picks at 94 proof. I think that, when you have a company that basically only makes one line, right? So Old Forester just makes Old Forester. Four Roses just makes Four Roses. That gives you the opportunity to do different things with how you bottle your product. But with a company like Buffalo Trace, who makes Buffalo Trace and Weller and Stagg and, so on and so forth, you are kind of limited to expectations, right? Or to general consumers.
You also would lose that certain brand profile that they have on certain of those bourbons too. If they were allowed to be like, hey, we'll let you do, Weller at 100 proof or something like that. And it depends how many you were doing, but people would probably lose that. Oh, well, Weller's not that, or switching from that or some. So I could see you losing some brand. As far as like
brand recognition,
brand recognition.
I get that, but at the same time,
with Forester, I think it makes total sense because like it's that's just their one line, like you were saying.
But I think that people have been calling for so long for like Wild Turkey to do a Russell's barrel proof single barrel. People would flip over a literally or otherwise a Weller barrel proof single barrel. Even an Eagle Rare barrel proof single barrel would be ridiculous. I mean, I can imagine people lining up all the way around the block if they were to find out that a store did a barrel proof select of Weller.
Yeah, I think that'd be amazing. That'd be so cool.
No, it would be great, but is it a possibility?
I think the thing is the bourbon industry is already doing like so well. I think that's a point when if, things like bourbon boom starts heading down pretty low, then you're like, hey, we're coming out with, stuff like that. I think that would, shoot it back up a little bit.
That scares me though, because I know the price on that would be ridiculous. Yes. And I think what honestly is going to start killing the bourbon industry is when every single thing that comes out is limited edition and pricing. To put another one out when it's dipping down, it'd have to be affordable, which would be, if they did make it the same price, that'd be great. Do you know what the pricing difference is going to be on those? Like, what's the difference between the price point on the 100 proof and the barrel proof for those? Are they announced?
Honestly, I have no idea. But if we're to kind of take the Buffalo Trace model and apply it to this instance, a single barrel of Buffalo Trace costs you around $5,000, right? And so that's a 90 proof bourbon. But like a 107 or a full proof pick is going to set you back like, I think $12,000, right? So if we're looking at what the price difference is going to be, okay, so I use that example, but at the same time, you're talking about a rye mash bill bourbon versus a wheated mash bill bourbon, and how that changes with the aging process and everything. But I think that that's a really good way to kind of look at how that model is going to be applied to Old Forester once they do switch over to this new single barrel program. I think that we could see it jump from, just assuming that, they're also a 90 proof rye mash bill bourbon, we could probably see it jump from $500 to $7,500 per barrel, honestly. That being said, I don't know if that totally applies to this notion. I think that's kind of that is speculation at its finest.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, but I could see that being a very real possibility that we could see Old Forester single barrel bottles jump from, what are they now, like $35, $40 to probably at 100 proof 50 or 60, and then the barrel proofs will probably get us at about 70 or 75.
As long as it's kind of within the Four Roses pricing model, I could see it. But
Which is basically in that range.
Yeah, I think it'll have to be a little cheaper though, because I've never been excited about a Old Forester single barrel at all.
Well, okay, but we're talking about, so to backpedal a little bit, Four Roses single barrel at 100 proof is $35 to $40. So I mean, there is the possibility for Old Forester to look at that and adopt that pricing model. And Four Roses barrel proof single barrels are $65 to $75. So it's a very real possibility that we could see that coming out of Old Forester here soon.
That's true. I hope they don't look at it and think, well, Brown-Forman's got batch proof and the Woodford, and that's like, how much is that? That thing's pricey.
It's like $125, $150.
Yeah, and if they're just like, well, we'll just knock $10 off.
I don't think they're going to do that.
I really hope not.
I don't think they will, because you're talking about a single barrel versus the Masters Collection, which is a really finely curated line of products. Be as it may that we've not been a fan of them 100% of the way through, but if you are talking about the work that has gone into it, you're talking about a store selecting a single barrel versus a master distiller or a tasting panel going in and selecting a group of barrels or a certain expression of barrels to then release to the public, right? I mean, single barrels are all over the place, so you have to be competitive with other single barrels in the market. I think that it would be asinine for them to do anything over $75 with an Old Forester barrel proof single barrel.
Yeah, no, that'd be
honestly,
ridiculous.
It would just...
You wouldn't sell it.
No, it wouldn't move. It would sit on the shelf. Yeah. Unless it's like the first... there's that thought of, the first couple of single barrels that come out, those are going to fly off the shelf because people are going to be interested in it. They're going to want to know what's different from the 90 proof single barrel and even the 100 proof single barrel.
Yeah.
People will be curious, and curiosity does drive the market in some aspects. But if you don't have a product that is going to keep consumers coming back, if you don't have that retainability, then the price is going to become ridiculous, and you're not going to ever want to shell out that much money. But I think $75 is where they should price it. Any more is, they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
I definitely want to try one before I purchase one.
I think so too.
Same here.
Yeah. And it's just, it goes back to what you were saying. I've not really ever had an Old Forester single barrel that I've just been blown away by.
No. I think I've had one that I've bought, and I've tried another one, and both of them, I got it. I was so excited. I was like, it's going to be great. And then I try it, and I'm like, mistake. It was a big mistake. It was a mistake.
Yeah.
So,
but we can hem and haw over this all the livelong day. But at the end of it, I am excited to see what comes of this. Am I necessarily excited to see these products on shelves? I don't know. But the potential for them to be really good, especially at barrel proof, that gets me excited. I think that's, I'm a little bit more excited over it at that point.
It's exciting news, but I think it's more noise than I guess that's just me.
I could see that.
I'm excited, and I would want to try it, and I would want to, I think it's good for them and their brand and stuff.
I'd be really
I don't think it's
excited to see.
It's not moving the needle by any means.
No, I don't think so either. But I think what would move the needle and would make me really, really excited is to see an Old Forester rye single barrel. That would get me excited because y'all know how much I loved the Old Forester Rye that came out last year.
Yeah.
Whether it's at barrel proof or at the same 100 proof, either way, I would love to try that product. I bet it would be awesome. And, maybe they need a couple of years before they kind of consider that. I mean, we really don't see a lot of single barrel ryes on the market. But it would be really freaking cool to see something like that come out here soon.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'd be excited for that for sure.
Man, a Sazerac rye single barrel. Oh, I'd be all over that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All over that. That's kind of it for news. One thing to talk about, because this was brought to our attention by a listener of the show over on Facebook in our Facebook group, which is
on the article.
This is my bourbon group. This is another article, because this one is the worst, and I'm not a fan of it. And we talked about its counterpart over on the pregame chats if you want to go and listen to that. But this article comes from Gear Patrol, and it is 10 of the best bourbons you can buy for less than $100. This article almost gave me an aneurysm. So the first one they list is Stagg Jr. Fine.
Yeah.
They listed at the proof, 133, price to 60, from 60 to 70. 133 is a little bit off because it's not consistently like that. The next one is Henry McKenna 10-year single barrel. They say that it's $99 a bottle.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me?
That is $1 under $100.
Yeah.
First off,
It kind of defeats the purpose of this article.
doesn't it though?
Yeah, it does.
Because after tax, it's going to cost you more than $100. Also, nobody's paying that money for this bottle.
No,
No.
not even close.
It will sit on shelves until the cows come home.
Nobody's listing it at $99.
No.
No, that's a museum price. And by that, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
right.
where you walk in and they have they have everything. And then all of it's priced ridiculously. It's a collection.
I think the biggest problem that I have with this too is the description as to why it is worth it. And it kind of plays into this hype that Henry McKenna has gone through over the past couple of years because it did win that San Francisco World Spirits Competition medal. It says, if you're a whiskey fan, pray your favorite bottle doesn't win any big awards. Before it won Best in Show, McKenna 10 went for 35. Now it's good for about 99. No, it's not. All that they are doing is trying to determine the market.
Yeah.
And play into the hype over it. It makes my head spin. Next one is the barrel bourbon, which I think kind of might deserve a place on this list. But if it were more of like the top 25 or the top 30, maybe even top 50 for under $100, that would be good. But at the same time, they're pricing it for $90.
Yeah.
And all of those batches are so unique. I mean, if you were gonna do anything with that, you'd have to put batch blank. I can agree with the Stagg Jr. because there's not really a batch of Stagg Jr. that I'm not excited to at least own. The barrel bourbon, it's, even when they first came out, you were like, if you see batch blank or blank, grab that.
Yeah.
That's the one you want.
Yeah. Next one is Maker's Mark Cask Strength. For a cask strength leader, I think that's a pretty good option. $50 to $55. Fair enough. Blanton Single Barrel comes next for $80. It's not $80.
No.
It's a $60 bottle.
Where are they getting their prices?
I don't know. I don't understand it at all. And again, this is another one where the description is just bizarre. It says, come for the collectible stopper, stay for the sexy flavor profile. Never describe my bourbon as sexy.
Yeah.
I think a bottle can be sexy.
Yeah.
A bottle can be beautiful.
They just don't know what they're talking about.
They don't know what they're talking about. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof comes next. 100% agree.
Yeah.
Great bourbon.
Yes.
Fine. Don't have any problem with that
On
one.
board.
What's the price though?
Oh, $65.
Okay, then why are they right on that one, but
I
not
don't know.
on
I
the
don't
ones-
know. I don't know. It's like they took only allocation and then secondary into account, and then they added the two and divided by two. I don't know. It's so bizarre.
Whatever.
This one's really funny. Booker's I totally agree with, but they used the image of the Booker's 30th bottle for the website.
Like, what? Did someone just Google Booker's and said, "Oh, that's a cool bottle"?
I don't know. Noah's Mill is next. Fine. Good bourbon. Don't know if it deserves a top 10 list.
Not top 10
$60. That's off by about 15 if I remember correctly. Yeah. Weller 12 year is the next one on this list.
How much they got to list it for?
100 plus.
You literally made an article saying under $100.
I think this is the one that just made me want to throw my computer out the window.
Also, it's not $100.
It's not $100.
First off. But also, you broke your own rule.
Swan's rubbing his head like he's getting a migraine. I'm sorry.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. Like, would I put that on the list? Sure. Would I make sure to specify highly allocated, supposed to be about $50 max?
That's the other thing, too,
Sure.
is like so many of these products are allocated. Mm-hmm. So many of them. Yeah. So don't say something like the 10 best bourbons that you can buy. Yes, you can buy them.
Yeah.
The potential is there. However, it's tiny. It's
exactly.
So small.
You don't factor in the allocation. You might have to wait in line, whether or not stores are holding it back for, return customers, whatever. It's just absurd. Last one is the Four Roses single barrel cask strength. This is not widely available. It is a single barrel product that not all stores are going to get.
No, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen one when I grew up in Frankfurt. I don't think I ever saw one in Frankfurt.
Yeah.
When I got to Lexington, you see them sparingly. And generally when you do see them, it's, it's like 8 years-ish. People go nuts for the 10-year plus, but they're hard to find.
Yeah.
Especially in a recipe you want, as Perry's noted.
I'm all worked up now.
I'm all mad.
I think that it would be interesting, but it also would kind of get lost a little bit for us to go, what are our 10 best that you can buy under that price? Right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think others have said it best. Like, we don't necessarily have to echo that. I would encourage people to go watch Bourbon Blind's episode on YouTube, where Kyle does talk about what some of the best bourbons you can get that aren't Pappy are. And I feel like that would kind of be an avenue that we would go down, but at the same time, we would lean heavily on what our common drinkers are, our daily drinkers, and,
I just would, just recommend go pick some bottles up. You haven't, I don't know. There's something about a journey and an experience. I understand having a starting point and not, actually having where you want to, being guided. And I think that's what, we try to do and stuff like that. But everyone has such a profile that's different and a different, they like different palates. So,
and I think it is, we've been saying it over the past 2 years that we've been doing the show. You're not going to know what you like until you try it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, you have to try new things to learn what it is that you like and don't like.
Yeah.
If you don't like Turkey 101, Curtis.
No. Yeah.
But
and it'll change throughout.
Yeah, too. Exactly. But I do. It's one of my favorites, And that's just part of it. You can't expect everybody to like or dislike what it is that you feel.
Yeah.
So it just, lists are dumb.
Lists are dumb.
And subjective.
I'm still mad at it. It's just dumb.
And it's I think it's the Weller 12 that really set us off.
I want to take the person that wrote this article. I want to give them, how many did they list? 10 there. So
10,
let's give them $1,000 and just say, you've got $1,000. I want you to find all 10 of these bottles of bourbon today, and they have to be at a liquor store. You can't go online or order them. Go. I want to see if they can get it done in a day.
Did they have the full 24 hours to do it?
Sure, I'll give them 24 hours. Where are you going to find Weller 12 in 24 hours for? And I want them to find it for the price listed, actually, for each one of those. That's even like...
Well, they would go over.
But that's fine. Give them some leeway. But they're not going to find all of those in one day. You can't. You just can't find those and buy them.
No. I do know where you can find a Weller 12, though.
Over with it. Well, it's 100 plus. They put the plus on there. They put the plus.
So I guess they weren't that wrong in that case, but at the same time, they're still very wrong.
Yeah, go find Blanton's just hanging out. Most it's just not going to happen.
Plus.
I don't know. That's frustrating, and I don't like it, Perry.
We had a much more visceral reaction to this one than we did the one we talked about on the pregame chats.
If they would have just put best bourbons to try under $100,
To try is exactly how they should have been phrased.
I would have been fine. I would have been totally cool with it, except for the Weller 12 thing where they broke their own rule that they've set.
They were the creator of this content. They choose the rules.
I don't get it. I'm sorry. I've got so much tension in the back of my neck from this.
Lists are stupid.
And for the best transition in the history of ever, what are you guys looking forward to in 2020?
Yeah, so that's going to be kind of the core of our conversation here tonight before we get to our review, which is going to be the latest Stagg Junior batch release. Yeah, release. That's what I'm looking for. Do we want to go kind of by some of these releases? Do we want to start with that and then kind of talk about, some experiences or whatever that we're kind of looking forward to?
Sure, yeah. I mean, so what are the big releases this year?
Of course, Booker's is going to be coming out. I think the biggest new one, at least in the first month. By the way, I'm pulling most of this release calendar, all of this release calendar, really, from breakingbourbon.com. Friends of the show. Go check them out. Anyway, the first big release, I think, is going to be the Larceny Barrel Proof.
Yeah.
Which we've not yet reviewed, but we have. And we will talk about some point here in the near future. But this is the first batch barrel proof Larceny that's come out from Heaven Hill. It's a wheated bourbon. It's going to follow the same model as Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I think that it's something to get excited about and to look forward to, especially since, they've not been wildly or overly consistent or fantastic in recent years with Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. But I think that there is room for consistency with these Larceny Barrel Proofs. And, I love Larceny. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Woodford just came out with their newest release of the Double Oaked. Have we actually had that on the show?
Yeah, no, actually not on the show. I think we had it after one of the shows, but it's just kind of, it's almost meaty, Yeah. It's just really savory.
Yeah.
It's good. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's heavy.
Yeah, it's like smoked meats.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The new Old Charter Oak is going to come out in February. This is exciting. Wilderness Trail is expanding the states that they're releasing in to
Good.
California,
Super
Washington, Nevada, and Texas.
You're welcome, Clifton. I'm so excited for them to expand just because I think, and going back to the Four Roses model, they're another one that follows that. They do a barrel proof and then 100 proof that they put out regularly, and I think you can choose which one you'd like in the pick. Their picks have been phenomenal.
Yes, they have.
They have been absolutely phenomenal, and I am starting to lean heavily towards the rye mash bill bourbon as opposed to the wheated, which I didn't think was going to happen. But they're great. The rye picks are amazing as well. I mean, I look forward to any one that I can try.
Yeah.
And now everyone's going to get to try it.
Yes,
well,
they are.
Select states will get to try it.
More people are going to get to try it than were able to before.
Yes.
How about this one? Sticking within Wilderness Trail. They've got a 6-year bourbon coming out in April.
Yes.
Dude.
I will drive all the way back to the distillery for that one.
I'm really freaking
Wow.
excited about this bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
And you all know how much we love Wilderness Trail. This is going to be, I can't wait. I just legitimately cannot wait for it. So, so Curtis is saying wow in the background. It's not necessarily about the Wilderness Trail.
I'm very excited about that as well.
Yes, but what he is getting more excited over is this 1792 foolproof pick that we were talking about earlier from Speakeasy, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
It's just-
it's amazing.
it's just
the
dope.
nose, I'm getting a lot of citrus, a lot of orange, and some hibiscus, some more of that floral. Then on the hibiscus.
That's interesting.
Yep.
That's specific.
Yes. And then the palate, dude, it's oily. It is so oily.
Oh, yeah.
That's so good.
Oh, I should have had you try the 12-year before this.
I didn't get enough in my glass, so I was like, I smell nothing. What is he talking about? And then I tried it, and it's all there.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It's the best foolproof.
This is the best
full.
foolproof I've ever had.
And see, I thought mine was good. Now I can't even look at it.
I mean, this is good.
Oh,
The oiliness is so kind of. It's something you don't experience often.
no.
Like there's something about that. It's just like kind of thick, but not syrupy.
It's chewy.
Yeah, it's not syrupy.
I mean, you kind of have to, like, get through what's on your tongue
yeah.
to kind of swallow it. But it's... Ugh. Anyway, back to releases.
Yeah.
E.H. Taylor unannounced special release. I have no idea what this could be.
That's so cool.
I mean, like...
I love that they just said, "Hey, we're gonna do something.
We're going to do something. It's been a while since the Straight Rye came out. It'd be cool to see a barrel-proof rye come from Taylor under that line.
It would be.
I don't know. Maybe another... But could they do a Taylor wheated mash? I don't know. Like, it's endless possibilities with this line.
Yeah, I mean, they've not stuck to one thing. They seem like they can just do whatever. I mean, this past year, they changed the grain. The year before that, they added an extra grain. I mean, they can do whatever they want. I think it would be weird to do a wheated knowing full well they've got a, Weller lineup that they could put it in. I just hope whatever they do, they put more production behind it, because the Amaranth, it was impossible. I could not find that thing at all.
Well, maybe you can try some here in a little bit.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Pacing myself, baby steps.
Good call. There's a new Woodford Reserve Masters Collection batch proof coming out in May. Jumping ahead to July, New King of Kentucky. Yellowstone 2020 coming out, the limited edition rather, coming out in August. Of course, the Four Roses limited edition small batch is going to be coming out in September. Al Rye Batch 4. Dixon has said this is the best Al Rye yet.
Good.
So, getting pumped for that. Old Forester Birthday Bourbon. Do we know anything about the Old Forester Birthday Bourbon yet?
No, usually they honestly keep it pretty close to they keep it pretty close to them until like a month before. And then you find out it's like the highest proof. They lowered the age, whatever, but I like the trend that's going on right now. They're getting closer and closer to barrel proof, even if they're taking the age down a little bit.
Yeah. Parker's Heritage 14th edition is coming out in September as well. Loved the heavy char rye so much. I have pretty high expectations for this year's Parker's. Of course, the Antique Collection is coming out in October. Little Book Chapter 4 is coming out that month as well. Not really sure what the details are on that just yet. All that we're seeing right now is 122.8 proof. 22.6. Sorry. And it just says blended straight whiskey on the label. It doesn't actually say whether or not it's bourbon. I imagine that they would have to kind of lean into the bourbon aspect of it with how great Little Book 3 was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would be crazy for them to not go for another bourbon release. Not sure. As we stand, that's kind of it for things that are slated to come out this year. Of course, we're expecting the benchmark products to come out this year.
Perry, you're forgetting some good stuff.
What am I forgetting?
Elijah Craig Rye for select people.
Yes.
We've got the Rare Breed Rye for select.
Right. There is the Wild Turkey Bottle and Bond Master's Keep that's going to be coming out as well. Super excited for that.
And what I'm excited about is Jim Beam has been putting out something pretty much every year. This year we got the Legent, and I think the Repeal batch.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see what this year's is going to be. Because we've had, what was it? Sinner, what was it called? It was the 100 proof one that they put out.
Distiller Select.
Distiller Select.
Yes.
Then we got the. I'm just wanting to see what the next one's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sorry, Swan, to clarify there, I was just kind of going by what Breaking Bourbon has done in terms of like when things are coming out.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, it's like what's expected in 2020.
Oh.
Right. So there's the benchmark. There's a blender select that's coming from Bullet that's going to be 100 proof, which should be really interesting. They're going to do a single barrel wide release of Bullet as well at the 104 proof that they've been doing with those single barrel picks. Honestly, not a whole lot more that's kind of jumping off the page, but I mean,
that's a whole lot to be excited for.
Yeah, I mean, there is the rumor that Knob Creek's going to come back with their age statement of 9 years, which I'm pretty excited for that as well. Weller Single Barrel, which we've talked about before. There's going to be a 3-grain Woodford Reserve. No, you know what? That 3-grain has already come out. That came out last year, I think. I don't know. Anyway, either way.
Any word on what 1792's got up their sleeve this year?
I have seen nothing from what's coming from 1792 this year.
What about New Riff?
Also, I haven't seen anything from New Riff.
Yeah.
As we have with the past couple of years, they've had their what is it? Their like New Riff Members Club release. Like last year was the Balboa Rye. What was the year before?
I'm not sure.
Was it the single barrel rye? Or just the rye in general, the Bottle and Bond rye, and then it became a wide release.
It might have been, yeah. I'm not really sure on that one.
That sounds right. I can't remember for sure, but I think if we're talking about like distilleries to look out for in 2020, definitely New Riff, definitely 1792, Old Barton, Wilderness Trail, I think for sure, especially with that 6-year release. And seeing what these special releases are that are coming from Jim Beam and Buffalo Trace with the E.H. Taylor brand, those are kind of the things that I'm most interested, at least to see what they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not necessarily excitement based on the opportunity to purchase them, but it's excitement out of,
new players
and like new opportunities and,
Yeah.
I think that one thing that kind of got lost with the E.H. Taylor Amaranth was that introduced a level of creativity and a level of opportunity that hadn't really been explored before with bourbon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, bourbon only has to be 51% corn at the minimum with a flavoring agent and malted rye or malted barley, excuse me, to, conduct the fermentation process. But, by seeing something like Amaranth come out, I mean, what could be next with a flavoring agent in that mash bill? I really don't know. So, I mean, we could see that potentially with Buffalo Trace, but on the flip side, we could see other distilleries trying to use amaranth as a flavor grain and doing it in their own way. Maybe it's a higher corn recipe with amaranth, or higher malted barley with amaranth, or something. But I think what's interesting about Buffalo Trace, and by doing something like, we'll kind of call it the experimental side of E.H. Taylor, that opens up the gates for other distilleries to do the same thing with their own take on it. So that is something I'm really kind of looking forward to in 2020. I really want to see another craft distillery come out. And I don't think that it's going to happen this year in terms of releases. But I think that something could be started this year that gets people excited about bourbon in the way that Wilderness Trail and New Riff did.
Yeah.
Right? So this is also supposed to be the year, allegedly, mind you, that Castle and Key is going to come out with their rye whiskey. We can talk ad nauseum about the fact that Marianne Eaves isn't there anymore. But that is product that she laid down in the rick houses. That is going to be, if it is supposed to be coming out this year, and from what I understand, it's going to be coming out in the fall. I'll be first in line.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I gotta know what it tastes like, man.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that kind of leads me to asking you guys, are we poised for another craft distillery to come out in front the way that Wilderness Trail and New Riff did? Is that Castle and Key? Is that an unnamed player? Do we have to wait a few years before that happens, or what do you think?
I think it'll be a couple of years. I'm honestly excited to see Castle and Key and who's doing the Bloody Butcher Corn?
Jephthah Creed.
Jephthah Creed. I want to see both of them. Maybe not next, like this upcoming year, but like 2021. I think they both can be serious players because Jephthah Creed's putting out a 2-year bourbon right now that tastes like it's way past that. And it's like a really rich, like meaty taste to it. And I mean, it's just nuts how developed it is for a 2-year.
Yeah, I think if it is going to be somebody, it's going to be Castle and Key. And then if it's not Castle and Key, then I don't think it will have one for another year, 2 years, something like that. I don't believe that there's an unknown player that'll pop up.
I don't know. Actually, Woodinville. You think this might be the year of Woodinville? I mean, we've already got people doing picks with them and stuff.
I don't know if it's going to be the year of Woodinville, but again, this is a Washington distillery. We're getting outside of Kentucky. I think that they could potentially become a more prominent player. I mean, they're gaining attention from people like Fred Minnick.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, Fred named, I can't remember which one it was, one of his favorite everyday sippers, I think, of 2019. Yeah, I think there is a huge potential for Woodinville to have a horse in this race within the next 12 months. But I don't know. I mean, I've loved everything that they've put out that I've had. I've not had anything bad from them. So
Guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, it is definitely a waiting game in this case.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to see from 2020?
I have been really enjoying this trend of everyone kind of putting out finished products that are finished in the same things. So have you noticed that like last year we had a bunch of people do the Caribbean rum cask stuff? I like when all the distilleries kind of put out a competitive product finished in the same thing. I want to see, I mean, honestly, this year, I'd love to see people kind of take the Spanish brandy cask they just did with Belle Meade and do some more Spanish brandy cask finished stuff. I mean, some of the, what is it, the Butchertown Copper and King stuff. They just
Yeah.
finished some of that, some of stuff in that with Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it on, man. I love a lot of that stuff they've been putting out.
I'd like to see more people, speaking of Belle Meade, do a honey finish
Yeah.
too. I'd be all over that, man.
Mm-hmm.
I would. I'd eat that up.
I feel like, did Bardstown do something of that matter with like a honey finish?
Mm-mm.
Maybe it was something maybe that's what I heard. But I could be totally wrong on that. I swear I heard something about that.
They just did one with Prisoner Wine, right?
Yeah.
And that apparently is phenomenal. I'd love to try that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited for the bourbons that you can get like a repeal batch or that are affordable, that are easy to find,
Right.
but different. Kind of like newer products that come out like that. And then I'm a big fan of the craft distilleries kind of deal. So if we could get one of those, I would love it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Sure. Yeah. I think it's it kind of goes without saying that the Turkey Bottle and Bond 17 year is high on my list of excitement. But yeah, I agree with you that I'm looking forward to more of the ground level stuff. And maybe it's because it's just staring at me right now, but the Wilderness Trail 6 year. We loved the 4 year.
Mm.
We thought it was great.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that, I think it's going to be phenomenal at 6 years. It could be, just okay at 6 years. I don't know. But regardless, I'm excited to try it.
Yeah.
That just kind of goes without saying,
Mm.
I think. But kind of outside of releases, like, I know I keep talking about it, but I'm really excited for what this year's live show is going to be. Like, just within the podcast world, this podcast world.
Mm.
I have something really cool in mind, and that I'm planning for this year's live show, and to kind of clue people in as to what I'm thinking about. And what's going to happen is there's going to be basically 2 shows in the same day, right? And the first show is going to be the 3 of us, and it's just going to be released for the people who were there and then for Patreon. And then I'll do a panel like I did last year, and that'll get the wide release, right? And like, we've never recorded in front of an audience this show.
Mm.
It's... I did the one last year where it was, in front of an audience, but I was the only one of the main co-hosts doing it.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it would be just so much fun for us to all 3 sit down for an episode like this and chat with people. So I think that would be crazy.
Yeah, I think that'd be super exciting.
Yeah. So I'm as excited for the potential moments and the potential memories that we'll make in 2020 as I am the pours and the releases.
Yeah.
Bourbon's just a conduit
Yep.
to it all.
Mhm.
So, and 2019 was great. We had a really great year. Of getting to meet people who are listeners and making new friends and everything. And yeah, I think 2020 is going to be that, just cranked up.
I'm down for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
I'm
Crank
sure.
it up.
I'm sure you're looking forward to Whiskey Weekend, and
Oh, I'm so excited about Whiskey Weekend. I'm excited about Southern Whiskey Society in August too. And
Bourbon on the Banks.
oh man, Bourbon on the Banks this year is going to be, again, we're talking about turned up.
Mhm.
It's going to be cranked up to 11. I think that this year's Bourbon on the Banks is going to... I'm here for it. That's all
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to say. So, yeah, that's about it for what I'm expecting for 2020. Do you guys want to review something?
Yeah.
Sure.
So, this just came out this past week. Buffalo Trace released their most recent expression of Stagg Jr. And it's getting really good reviews as far as I've been able to tell. It's 128.4 proof. This is the 13th release in their Stagg Jr. line. And apparently it's at least 8 years old, which I didn't realize Stagg Jr. had anything in terms of in terms of an age statement in this case. So,
Yeah. And I don't know what the age is on is there like an estimated age range for the Stagg, George C. Stagg?
I think normally it's around like 10 years.
So this is not far off.
No. It's dark.
Yeah.
It is.
You kind of expect it.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The nose though is interesting. It's high proof, but I'm getting a lot of lighter notes.
I am too. I'm getting like a
And it's
Even
dark,
like
but I'm getting a lot of lighter notes.
yeah, like even like a white bread note.
Okay. Yeah.
Like white bread, like it's like a peanut butter sandwich.
Gonna be honest, my left nostril's doing a lot of work. It's the only one working right now.
I'm stopped up, but I'm still pulling out those olfactories.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like a lemon zest, and there's a savory note, kind of meaty, steaky bit in there too.
Fully expecting this to explode on the palate, though.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Oh, there's that like brown sugar note too on the nose.
Whoa.
Oh man.
Yep.
Holy moly.
I'm gonna say something bold. I think I like the palate on this better than the Stagg, George C. Stagg from last year.
I 100% agree with you. Peanut butter jelly.
Mm-hmm.
There's a macadamia nut in there too.
I like the reference to Hawaii. Macadamia nut for sure.
You are noticeably tanner. I meant to note.
I don't tan, I burn, but thank you.
Well, it looks like it's settled in pretty well.
Yeah.
This reminds me of
Finish.
something just wild. I had so I used to work at a daycare center as a lunch lady. Best job I ever had. But there was like a make your own sandwich day where you'd put like peanut butter and then just crap loads of random stuff on it. This is just like that. You'd put like a bunch of sprinkles and
good.
stuff on it. Macadamia nuts.
Yeah. This is okay. I know this is going to sound very, very odd. I guess not odd, but it's just recency bias is what I've had. So you said macadamia nut, and it's triggered now. So I bought a bag of Mauna Loa, which is a company in Hawaii that they have different kinds of macadamia nuts. But I bought specifically dark chocolate, sea salted caramel macadamia nuts, and this is it.
It's totally there.
Yeah.
It is 100% there.
Which is so weird because you said that, and it's exactly like this.
I like my monster sandwich better, but yes, it's good.
This is bold. It's chewy. It's oily.
Not overwhelming or
No.
overpowering.
And a lot of Stagg Juniors are.
Yeah.
Stagg Jr. is usually the unrefined little brother of George T. Stagg. This, for whatever reason, is so much more balanced than the 2019 Stagg.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This far and away, this is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really.
This is really good.
I imagine this being really good, and maybe, again, recency bias. I'd love this at, like, Christmas time, like, sitting around on Christmas Eve. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Stagg Jr. will knock you on your butt.
Yes.
I mean, it's
But
got
this is
it's got the stag
Yeah.
antler horn things. Bourbon works. It's sneaky. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does kind of creep up on you a
It's
little
not
bit.
well, it's not overpowering, which is what I'm so used to with Stagg Jr.
For 128 proof, doesn't really drink like it.
No.
No. I just think it's wild. Buffalo Trace started this year out strong. They're putting a BTAC out in January.
Oof.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true. Yeah.
I mean, it's got that hug, dude. It's such an
This is
overall pleasing experience.
And I'm
Yeah.
fairly certain I know where I can get a bottle of this.
You might not have already said that on the show, but
Yeah.
don't buy it. You buy it. I mean, other people don't go.
Oh, yeah.
Don't steal it out from.
They don't know where it's at, though.
True.
I think the only thing that's missing from this for me is I always get one of the same notes on Stagg Jr. And it's usually like a really like plum raisin kind of note that I pick up on it, and I don't get that on this.
I can kind of see the raisin. But it's funny. It's so off profile for a Stagg Jr.
It is, but in a good way.
Yeah, I would almost place this in more of a Booker's.
See, to me, it
Quite
reminds me
honestly.
of a kind of a darker E.H. Taylor barrel proof.
Oh, absolutely.
Because this reminds me quite a bit of the barrel proof they put out last year.
Yeah,
Which
I like this better.
I do too, yeah, but it's just this is more in E.H. Taylor barrel proof territory
Yeah.
for me than it is Stagg Jr. Which, granted, I mean, they change every year, so saying it's in that area is a real,
Mm-hmm.
it's a gray area for sure because it's all different every year. I just had some the other night, and it's like a 133 proof one at my house.
Mm-hmm.
The first sip I took of it, I was like almost coughing. I mean, it kicks you.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Do you guys want to add any water to it? See if it changes at all.
Sure.
I don't, to be honest.
I'm gonna do just like a couple of drops. See if I can. Okay. Yep. That was basically a couple drops. I just want to see how it
This
how
is
it
the
affects
best
it.
Stagg Jr. I've had.
I have to agree. With the water, it's a wow. Oh, it brings out the peanut note. Smell
Oh, yeah.
that. Smell that, Kurt.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
To me, it tastes like age-stated old charter now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I totally see that on the nose.
I may have put a little more than a couple drops of water, to be honest. I tried, but I messed up.
It reminds me of the old Charter 101.
Yeah, yeah. This is good. You can really see where their profile is with this one. I mean, it just bounces across all the releases that use the same mash bill.
I don't normally think about putting an ice cube in a bourbon, but I feel like maybe not a cube, maybe like a ice ball or something, or an ice mold, something bigger than just a cube. I think it could probably benefit from kind of sitting with it for a little while, kind of perspiring and taking on a little bit of the flavors of the water. Maybe not benefit, but it could really change the experience, I would say. This is a huge win for me.
yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I haven't done all the math in my head just yet, but I'm seeing this getting like
It's
an
high for me.
18 out of 20.
Oh, we're scoring this. Hold
Yeah,
on.
we got to score it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for people who don't know, we have a rating system of nose, palate, finish, and price. Each category is out of 5, and then we tally it up for a total score out of 20. I'll go first. I give the nose. I'm gonna give the nose I'm gonna give it a 4. It's just it's so delightful and inviting. And I was originally going to go 3.5, but then I started thinking like it's got layers and depth and just makes you want to dive right into it. I mean, like there's nothing I can give it less than a 4. But Curtis is making a face. What do you think, bud?
I'm just thinking. Yeah, I went with a 4 on the nose.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, I think the nose might be the weakest part here, which bodes really well for the rest of the score.
Yeah.
I gave the nose a 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was teetering between the two.
Well, so the nose is where I get that weird, like, dark plummy raisin, and that is one of my, like, signifiers for Stagg Junior for me, and this doesn't have it. Is it a bad nose? Absolutely not, because it's getting a 3.5. But it's just not. It's off profile for me with that. That being said, my palate, I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah.
It is strong.
Yeah,
it is
I gave
very
it
good.
4.5 as well.
4.5.
Yeah. I honestly don't even know if I can quantify or qualify what it is that is missing that could bump it up to a 5.
Yeah.
You know, it just I imagine that there's something else.
I think I would like to have a dark berry note.
I could see that.
I don't think that the palate has that.
I could get on board with that. Yeah.
So maybe that.
Sure. Yeah.
But the palate's so strong.
It's fantastic.
It's so good.
Yeah. I gave it a 4.5
Yeah,
for sure.
4.5.
I gave the finish a 4.
Same here. 4.
It just makes you want to go back for it. You're just excited
It's just
about
enough.
it. And, yeah.
I teetered. I was very close to going a 3.5.
Yeah.
Just because for me, I wanted the finish to be a little hotter, a little more of a hug, a lot of going down, and I wanted it to stay a little longer. But it was really good. I'm going to go 3.5.
I gave it a 5.
Oh my god!
You have the finish of 5.
This was my favorite part.
Wow.
Was the finish.
No, I'm sticking with the 4.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with 4 as well.
5.
5.
Explain.
I think this, to me, like, to this day, I think the best finish I've had is on the Booker's 2018-04 kitchen table.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This, to me, rivals that.
I know where you can find a bottle of that.
Oh, yeah. Where's that at? Because I might actually buy that.
All right, cool.
Tell me off air. Tell me off air. Yeah.
No, I totally understand why you would rank that so high. Because it does make you want to go back for another sip.
Yes. So
you know what? I'm going to bump mine up to a 4.5.
So the 1792 is that pick you just gave us is another one where I think it is probably in that 5 territory because it's just that oiliness that sticks around is great. The thing with that one, I would mark it down to probably a 4.5 because it's almost too oily. It sticks around almost too long, you know? But this, perfect. Ends exactly when I want it to. Right when I'm ready for another sip. I think it's great.
All right.
Dang it, man.
It's good.
I'm definitely bumping it up to a 4.5. I don't know if it's in 5 territory for me, but it's killer.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you what is a 5 for me though.
The price.
That's the price.
Yep, same here.
The price is 100% a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
And I know that it's not always easy to find. I understand that there is an allocation behind it. But if you are talking about the other barrel-proof bourbons that are on the market, I think this takes the cake.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I really do. It's consistently good. Maybe not great, but it's consistently going to please. It has an incredible palate. The mouthfeel is exceptional. Chad. And some people, and I have heard this plenty of times, call it too hot.
This isn't too hot.
This is not. This is so close to a perfect barrel-proof bourbon.
Yeah.
It's so
really,
close
it's
to
so
it.
good.
And this is such a great way for us to start out this year.
I hope 2020 is just like this.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I give the price of 5.
Yeah.
Swan gave a price of 5.
Yeah, so I mean that puts me at 18 for this.
I'm at 17.5.
I am also at 18.5.
Wow, 18.5. Nice.
Wait, didn't you say 18.5 or did you say
18.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm the highest out of the three of us then. 18.5.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all within a half a point.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
average it out, 18.
of these Stagg Juniors that I've had, and I've had I think 4 or 5 out of the 13 batches. This is the best one.
Mm-hmm.
Far and away the best one.
I think this one, and then there was another one that was 126.4, which is a little lower for Stagg Junior.
Yeah.
It was also really good.
And I would suggest that we compare to some other Stagg Juniors as well, but Stagg Junior, again, will knock you on your butt.
Yeah. We'll do a flight of all the batches. We'll make it to about 4, and then we'll need some help.
Remember that time I did a whole bunch of single barrel selections with Chad for Liquor Barn, and I had the hiccups afterwards?
Yeah.
I'd be dead. It'd be that, but I'd be dead.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so a resounding yes, buy this batch of Stagg Junior.
Absolutely.
For sure. So I have a question for you guys, because we do have 2 more segments to get through before we wrap things up.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather do mailbag first or barrel rings? Because I would think we would do barrel rings first, because mailbag is going to be kind of quick fire.
Okay.
I've got quite a few questions from our Facebook group.
Before we do barrel rings.
Yes.
I want some of the 12 year 17.
Yes,
too.
absolutely.
I want to
For
take a sip of that.
Enjoy that, my friend.
What?
What are you taking your headphones off for?
I was just giving him a break.
Oh, okay.
I have to do that too. My ears are
I thought you were leaving.
No.
not happy with me.
We have had a long episode.
No, we have.
What are we at now? Like almost 2 hours?
Oh, I don't know. No, it's like 137.
So we're approaching 2.
Yeah. The longest episode we've ever done was the 100th episode.
Yeah.
So.
Ooh.
You like?
I like the nose.
Yeah. Oh, man. I just had my last sip of that Stagg Junior. Oh, buddy. That's a great cork pop, by the way.
I love their
They always
corks.
are.
I do too. So, we definitely want to go barrel rings first?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so this week's barrel rings comes from friend and listener of the show, Brian Brennicky. So let's see what Brian has to say.
Hey, Perry, it's Brian Brennicky. Got a question for you and Swan or Curtis or whoever your guest might be this week. But I'm wondering if you have any bottles that you currently have that you're unwilling to open and that you're holding more for sentimental value. I personally just have one that was the initial release of Eleanor from Crowded Barrel when we went down there for the grand opening, signed by Daniel and Rex. And honestly, the bottle unopened signed kind of means more to me, and it's not about wanting to buy it or the value or anything like that. It's more about the memories and having it signed. I kind of treasure that bottle. But just curious if you have anything that's similar. Thanks a bunch, and happy bourboning.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I already know yours. I know yours already.
Okay.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know Curtis's.
Really? All right.
Oh, no, I do know yours. Now that I think about it.
I'll be interested. Okay.
It's your turkey bottle that was signed by Jimmy, right? Or was it Russell's?
I'll let it be a surprise.
Oh, okay.
Okay, fine.
I've got one.
Go for it.
The first bourbon that I actually
Harry said that with so much disdain a little bit. He was like, oh, fine.
I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry.
I know.
fine, Kurt. All right, we'll move on.
Jeez.
No, I've got a bottle of I got a 1.75 of the Elijah Craig non-age stated in the older style bottle, and that was one of the first things that I drank. So I
Oh,
mix it
that's
with Coke,
cool.
and it's completely unopened. And I've got a huge thing, and every 6 months there's a reminder on my phone to flip the bottle upside down a few times.
To keep that cork wet.
Keep the cork wet, yeah. So, no, I've got that, and I've actually got a second bottle, which is just a 112.8 bottle
Rare
of
breed?
rare breed,
Yeah.
yeah. Because that was one of my intros to barrel proof. So just
Yeah.
2 sentimental bottles that, I could probably still go to a bar and have if I wanted. I might have to pay a little extra, but I don't know. I just want to keep them around.
Mm.
Real quick before we move on, what do you think of the 12-year?
The 12 year is good. I think it's one of the better releases they put out recently.
Yeah,
I still am a huge fan of the foolproof,
I think Foolproof is easily their best product.
certain single barrels, and the high rye. I think those still
Yeah,
kind
for
of,
sure.
I prefer those over these.
I know it's not widely available. I wish it were, but the 225th would have been like my daily drinker if that flavor profile were bottled under another label.
I still have 2 more of those unopened.
Do you really?
Yep.
I opened mine recently.
Yeah, I refilled yours.
You did, yeah,
I
because
did.
I finished it on a stream,
Mm-hmm.
and you were like, if we get this many viewers or whatever,
Yeah.
Perry gets one, and I did, and I opened it, and it's good,
And it's good.
and it's good. Kurt?
Yeah, so one of my unopened bottles, well, I guess it's 2, but they're the same bottle. So it was a small little 350 milliliter of Wild Turkey Rare Breed, and it's signed by Jimmy Russell.
Okay, all right. I wasn't that far off, I guess.
No, you guys were. Yeah, it wasn't Russell's, but it was Wild Turkey
Yeah.
Rare Breed, and it was the older proof as well.
Yeah,
So it's not the newest. I believe the newest one is
116.
116 and the old one's 112. Yeah, so it's the 112. And so it's signed by Jimmy Russell. So that's a little sentimental value in general, but to give the backstory of what happened, it was I believe it was Mother's Day.
Yeah,
and
right.
we were taking my mom for Mother's Day to a Wild Turkey distillery tour, and it was on Sunday, and we went through, had a great time. Didn't have any expectations. Had a good tour. It was amazing. Loved Wild Turkey Distillery. Like coming into Wild Turkey, looking up onto the little hill that they're on
Yeah.
from that bridge is so cool. And then after our tour, after our tasting, Jimmy Russell was just sitting there, and his wife was over there, and we were talking to somebody from the distillery, and they said, "Oh yeah, Jimmy, he comes after church every single Sunday almost, as long as he can make it, and or doesn't have anything that he has to do."
Yeah.
And so we got to talk to him, talk to his wife, sign the bottle. So it was just a whole family kind of, moment.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I will never open those bottles.
Really?
I don't think I will.
Ever?
Maybe a long, long time from now,
Sure.
but not within probably 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
I'd say I might in 20.
So, if we're staying in the turkey category, I have a 101 that is signed by Jimmy, and Jimmy's older. He's up in years, and my dad and I have an understanding that when Jimmy passes, and I'm not trying to, bring the mood down or anything, that bottle's going to get cracked, and it will be in memoriam of one of the greatest master distillers of all time. And I've got a Russell's. Both of these are sitting behind me, by the way. I've also got a Russell's small batch, or whatever you call it. That's their 10-year 90 proof that was signed by both Jimmy and Eddie. And maybe I'll hold on to that one a little bit longer. than when Jimmy passes. But yeah, for sure. I mean that Turkey 101 is it is Jimmy's thumbprint on Wild Turkey, and it only makes sense to hold on to that until that time comes. Like I said earlier, this Knob Creek small batch from '93, I'm saving for my birthday this year, and jeez, I don't know why this always happens to me. Sorry, I apologize. The only other one that I can think of, and like I want to preface this with I don't not open a lot of bottles. If I have a bottle, it's gonna be opened, unless it's for a special occasion. And in this case, it's this. It's up there somewhere. The Blanton's Straight from the Barrel, which was dumped on my anniversary with Lucy. So I am saving that for basically a yearly pour for our anniversary because, I mean, it's got sentimental value to it. But yeah, that's it. Brian, thank you for calling in for this week's Barrel Rings. What should we ask people to call in for next week's episode? Let's give them a topic or a question or something. Because that seems to be why people want to call in more.
Well, okay, so we are familiar with Kentucky's smaller distillers, the craft distillers.
Yeah.
What distillers in your area do you think are going to blow up in 2020?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, we've got, people in Seattle that think that the Woodinville stuff's going to blow up, and deservedly so, but maybe somebody in a different state. I want to hear from you guys because we've heard a lot from Kentucky and surrounding, but Colorado's got Breckenridge, and I've tried some of their stuff, and it's good.
True. Mm-hmm. So the way to reach the show for the Barrel Ring segment is to call in at 859-428-8253, and all you have to do is just leave us a voicemail, and we will listen to it live on air and then respond to it as we just did. Again, that is 859-428-8253, and you can leave us a voicemail. We'll be happy to listen to and chat with you on next week's episode. Quick, rapid mailbag for this episode. Swan looks concerned.
I don't know what a mailbag is.
Well, it's just questions from listeners.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so I put up a question, or basically a call for questions on our Facebook group. This is my Bourbon group, which you can join just by going to facebook.com and searching for This Is My Bourbon group. And I just said, are there any questions or comments that you have for us for this week? The first one comes from Bill Robark. What brand or expression of a bourbon have you never seen a store pick of that you would love to see?
That is a great question. Let me think about it for a second. I want to see Russell's Reserve Single Barrel Rye picks.
Those have happened before.
But I've not seen them.
Right.
I want more.
Well, they came a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I would love to see, and it's just kind of in general, like a bottled and bond store pick, other than Wilderness Trail. Because I think the Wilderness Trail ones... Oh, wait, no, they just do the barrel proof ones, don't they?
They do the barrel proof. They also do, I think, some 100 proof picks.
Okay. So I really want to see a bottled and bond store pick from somebody. And I think that E.H. Taylor might be coming out with a...
That's rumored, yeah. Because they did some funky stuff with their most recent TTB update on that, didn't they?
Right. Kurt?
I think I'd like to see a finished product, either like a rum barrel or within wine. Well, this is further down the road. I don't think it's right now, but I would love to see it from Wilderness Trail, to see a finished product from Wilderness Trail.
Sorry, I made a weird noise into the microphone that it's definitely been cut out, but everybody responded to.
Yeah.
I've got one I think we can all agree on. Rebel Yell 10-year picks.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would
I'd take
love to
mine
see
back
those.
and want that.
Or even Rebel Yell 100 picks.
Yeah, that'd be great
exactly. I think that's more likely.
Yeah, for sure. Next, this comes from Mike Steven. What would you all consider the most overrated allocated bourbon or most overly priced bourbon on secondary? Pappy?
Pappy.
Pappy.
Happy.
B-Tac.
See, I don't think that BTAC is overhyped. I think that BTAC deserves the hype as long as the bottles
then Pappy.
are great. You know, and there's been really good antique collection bourbons and whiskeys, for that matter, over the past few years. But I think that they deserve the hype. I think that the Van Winkle collection, not necessarily.
You mean the Pappy Suite?
The Pappy Suite, yes. Sorry. That's a callback to the pregame chats, which you need to go listen to on patreon.com/bourbon podcast. Let's see. The next one is from Eric Smith. He says, you're in line for a big release and the last bottle goes to the person in front of you. Would you rather that person be a well-known flipper or the guy who asks you, what's this for? I just saw a line and got it.
This is awesome. But
I would
definitely, what's this for me?
I would totally rather it be the guy who goes, what's this for?
I think I would laugh at that. The flipper, I would be mad. So I would rather laugh. So definitely get in line.
I totally agree. For a guy to go, I just showed up today to pick up my Svedka.
Yeah. Because that leads into an opportunity of, oh, well,
That was the
Then
best
getting
bourbon and
into-
Coke I ever had.
yeah, getting into bourbon or something like that. Yeah. Or maybe you get into conversation eventually, like he's like, oh, well, if you know so much about bourbon, like how about we do a pour of it or something like that,
You trying to swindle a pour off this guy?
Oh, yeah.
This one comes from Dustin. He says, what's your favorite food and bourbon pairing? Example, steak and wild turkey Kentucky Spirit.
This is actually my tips and bits. So I'm going to hold on this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I am going to take a page out of Peggy No Stevens' book and Elijah Craig and pizza.
Oh,
is
okay.
phenomenal. And I'm just straight up like pepperoni pizza, which I honestly might order after we're done here from Papa John's.
Yeah.
Because that sounds really good. Kurt?
It does.
That's tough. I'm a big fan of anything chocolate, like a chocolate ice cream or a chocolate cake or just chocolate in general with
I would
me
think
on the
like
spot, I don't know.
a chocolate delicacy with a nutty bourbon.
I really like, with a nutty bourbon. I really like just pairing bourbon with a dessert, like a dark chocolate dessert.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't specify which one.
Sometimes I just like eating just Reese's on Reese's and then having like Elijah Craig with it.
Yeah.
It's good. You can't go wrong with it.
I lean towards like some barrel proof stuff
Mm.
with that kind of thing because they're usually darker flavors, but I don't have a specific one.
Yeah. This next one comes from Joseph Brazo. He says, Curtis, what's your wedding pour? There's 3 parts to this question. So first off, Curtis.
My wedding pour. I haven't thought about it.
Can I provide it for you?
We could provide it.
Yes.
Yeah, Swan and I will provide your wedding pour.
Yes, my wedding pour, you guys decide.
It's
I would
Wild
like to
Turkey
be
101 and you're going to love it.
Please don't. That's funny. No, I haven't thought about it.
I just had the dumbest idea of all
I wish
time.
we were having like, some. I wish we had like a bourbon kind of bar type thing.
Sure.
But we're doing beer, wine.
What about like celebratory? Because you can have, a pour of bourbon before the wedding.
Yeah, no, exactly. I would honestly love a 1792 foolproof like pick or something like that.
Okay.
I think that would, because 1792 is what got me into bourbon.
Yeah.
Foolproof is my favorite part of their line.
Yeah.
So that I think now thinking about it, I think that might be a move.
Swan and I are on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would love to be surprised. I'm fine with anything. Okay, not anything. I take that back. But I really appreciate what you do with finding a dump date of your anniversary. That's super, super cool.
Yeah.
So that'll be like future.
Okay. We'll figure it out. Swan and I can work together on this one.
Yeah.
Because I think that's super special on like just one pour.
Oh, yeah.
But
Absolutely.
no matter what it is, I'm putting it in a 101 bottle.
Okay.
It'll be 2 ounces
We
and a
gotta
full.
find like plastic wrap that we can just get a hair dryer to and like wrap it around so it looks like a 101.
It's gonna be a 1792 bottle, but it's gonna have. I'm gonna take a Wild Turkey 101 label and slap it on the front.
I love that even more. Swan, Joseph's question to you is it time to take down the White Swan page before Facebook starts snooping around?
Maybe. I don't know. Facebook is aggressive with some of that. I've noticed the big things are don't put prices and bourbon in the same post. As long as you don't put Elijah Craig barrel proof and then a figure right after with any sort of money symbol, generally you're okay.
Oh, yeah.
But, be careful.
I also think if you say like collectors, that's a good thing to say as well.
Yeah,
I'm
and
in a like a Maker's Mark thing, and they always say collectors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. The last one is, to me, Perry, what distillery or brand have you given up on, in parentheses, for whatever reason? So... Yeah, that's a distillery that I have totally given up on.
It's going to be the longest bleep of all time. Can you keep any of that?
Nope.
People are going to think their phone just killed itself because it's just going to be a constant line.
I apologize, but yeah, I'm not keeping it.
I mean, I guess you can shorten it. They don't need to know it take like 30 minutes to explain all that.
You guys were thinking you were going to get out of here before 10 o'clock. Wrong. 2 more questions. This one comes from Tyler. He says, I've got a very important question. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes,
No.
I love Hawaiian pizza. I love it.
Do they even eat that in Hawaii? You were just there. Did you ask them? This is a crucial question.
I didn't ask them, but something tells me no.
To be fair, I don't like pineapple, so I don't like it on pizza or by itself. So I can't really get behind it.
Yeah.
I like pineapple.
I love Hawaiian pizza. It's one of my favorites.
Why don't you just order that after the podcast instead of your pepperoni?
I'm not going to. I'm going to get a Meat Lovers.
Even better. Okay. I can't be too mad at you.
And the last question comes from Steven Sussman. He says, go-to food after having a couple of Perry pours.
Doritos.
I was going to go Arby's.
Okay, I'm a big Doritos guy.
And the Arby's came about because we were recording so much over at your last place before you moved. And you had an Arby's right by you. Yeah. And the double beef and cheddar with a fry.
Mm-hmm.
See,
that Arby's is good. Here's another one. This is going to go way, way back.
Okay.
Way back for you. Wendy's.
Oh. Because of that one time we walked from my apartment over to Wendy's.
Yes.
While I was still living in Richmond.
Yeah.
That was... Yes.
We were just drunk. And when we said...
Like, there's not even any beating around the bush on that one.
No, we were drunk.
We had way too much to drink. And it was like, you know what sounds good? Let's just walk over to Wendy's right now.
Went and got our food, came back.
I just moved to Lexington, so this whole concept of walking to a restaurant is new. It's phenomenal because there's a Qdoba across from my house. So I go over and I'm like, you know what? can I get as much queso as possible? Just pile it up.
You got a BurgerFi over there too.
I do.
I love BurgerFi.
It's good. It is good. However, I can stumble my way through an order at Qdoba and leave, and they don't seem to care. The one time I did it at BurgerFi, they're like, "Are you good?"
I am fine.
Yeah. But when I poke the glass and I'm like, more, they understand at Qdoba. So I usually go there and walk out.
This has been a very weird mailbag for this episode, but we did have Stagg Jr. So we haven't even done tips and bits yet. So we should do tips and bits now.
Tips and bits. What you got? Go to Hawaii?
And never.
I'm not gonna lie. Some of that footage you had was amazing.
It was epic.
It was really cool. I've been like poking fun at it, but honestly, I'm just jealous.
Oh, it's super cool. I would recommend. I mean, tips and bits for sure. Go to Hawaii. But that sounds lame because of course. My other one would say, read The Irishman. Not watch it. Read it. Because it was a book before the movie.
I did
on
not
Netflix.
know that.
So the original book, the book is based. Well, the movie is based off the book, and the book is actually called "Do You Paint Houses?" or something of that matter, which you wouldn't understand the reference until you read the book. But read The Irishman.
Okay. It's not bad. I might have to do that. Mine is actually a pairing that I found the other day that seemed kind of odd when I first did it, but I really enjoyed it. Sushi and bourbon.
Yes.
Yeah.
100% agree with that.
So good.
So I have something for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the Buddha Lounge?
You're going to say Hawaii. No, Buddha Lounge, I've still not been there.
I've not been there, no.
Guys. All right. What are you guys doing this week?
I think we're going to the Buddha Lounge.
I'm working and working and working. But
can
the
you
week
go to the
after,
Buddha Lounge?
probably not. My schedule's
week
bad. I'll
after.
show you in a minute.
Week after.
All right, fine. Yes.
How about this? How about we do an episode here for the week for next week, and then the week after it's on location at Buddha Lounge, because you've only really got another week of Book Rush.
No, I just have one more week and I'm good. Yeah.
All right. Buddha Lounge for sure.
Yeah. No, it's
and because the owner of Buddha Lounge has a really good bourbon collection too.
It's amazing.
it is
I'll have him.
a phenomenal
if he's there.
pairing.
He hasn't been there the last few times, but anyway, that's another time.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal pairing. And one of my favorite places to do it at is it's like a non-traditional like sushi. But have you ever gone to Malone's and looked at their sushi?
Yeah,
that they
no,
have?
dude, their crab rangoon is amazing.
I just had that one. It's so good. It's so good.
I love crab rangoon sushi. Is my favorite.
Crab Rangoon sushi with a Knob Creek pick.
Oh,
It was good. It was really good.
Swan.
Yeah, I just kept trying different like cuisine and bourbon, and honestly, some of them are not great because a lot of them get spicy, and spicy food with bourbon is a very like dangerous territory. But just kind of that mild sushi flavor with sushi or like with the bourbon is amazing.
Yep.
I want to try the Nika straight from the barrel or Nika from the barrel with the sushi. I think that would be interesting
Yeah.
because I like the peatiness of that, and I think it would just bring a whole new element to that.
Mhm.
Um,
I'd love to try that actually.
yeah, or that peated bourbon that they have from what was
Kings
it?
County?
Kings County
Yeah.
with some
for sure.
sushi. Whew, I think that would be good.
Do you guys want a road trip up to New York to do a Kings County episode?
We might have to. I'm serious. At Bourbon on the Banks, they were my favorite
They
that
were
came there,
Fantastic.
and they were
I didn't ever have
so
it.
they were so
were
nonchalant
not.
about their product.
You weren't at Bourbon on the Banks.
I
So,
was not. You
yeah.
are right.
But it was good.
Sushi
Anyways.
and bourbon.
Yeah, sushi and bourbon. What's your tips and bits, Perry?
so I have a couple. The very first posthumous album for Mac Miller came out this past week. It's called Circles, and it's ridiculous. It's so good. I had been kind of putting it off for a little bit. I mean, like, it's only been 3 days since it came out.
Yeah,
but
I was like, you didn't put that on.
No, but I was like, because I loved Swimming.
Yeah.
I loved that album. And I was like, is anything going to live up to it?
I've heard it's like really good, but very hard to listen to.
It's hard to listen to under the circumstances.
Yeah.
But if you listen to it from the stance of a fan, in terms of like appreciating his music, it's a huge, fantastic experience. And, substance abuse is not easy to talk about, and unfortunately when it takes lives it becomes even more difficult, but it's really, really good. Really and truly, I enjoy that album so much. I'll be a nerd for a second too, and I'll be such a nerd that people will definitely roll their eyes when I talk about this, but so the CW has a whole universe of DC Comics characters that they do shows around, and they just wrapped up their major crossover called Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was based on an old DC Comics crossover event itself, which was within the comic books. And like there were bits of it where you just kind of roll your eyes and you're like, nah. But if you're a fan of that era of comic books, or just really of DC in general, it's so good. And it was a really, really satisfying ending. And I don't even, like, I can't express to people who don't understand it what it was like. But if you stuck with some of these characters for a while, it's rewarding and it makes sense. So go watch that. It's 5 episodes if you've kept up with it. Anyway, I'll stop being a big old nerd.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. I watched Arrow for a good while.
Yeah, I really liked Arrow.
I did. It was
After
very
the
hard
fourth
to.
season, it got really bad.
Yeah,
I'll agree with
it
you.
was extremely hard to binge watch. I've never had that with a show where I liked it and I loved like watching it, but it just hard to binge watch.
I don't disagree. Anyway, that was Tips and Bits. Thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode. I feel like we touched on a lot of different topics and had a lot of conversation about what's coming up in 2020. And yeah, I'm excited for this year. I think it's going to be great. Where can people find you on social media, guys?
On Instagram, you can find me at KurtCon, and on Twitter, Kurt_Con15.
I'm on Instagram and Facebook at My Bourbon Finder.
And if you want to follow me, I am at PRaider1492 on all social media platforms. If you want to follow the show, it is at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can leave us a 5-star rate and review on the iTunes app, which really does help us out. It gets more people listening to the show, seeing that it is available in their app. I know that it's not always the best podcast app, but if that is something that you do on the regular, please do leave us a rating and review. And if you can't do that, let your friends and family, I guess, know about the show, because that's a great way for people to find out about this podcast. Let's see what else. Bourbonshop.threadless.com is where you can find all of our apparel and merchandise. You can become a part of our Facebook group, which is called This Is My Bourbon Group. All you have to do is just head to facebook.com and search for it. That's where all of our mailbag questions came from this week. There's been a lot of activity on it over the past few days too, which has been a lot of fun seeing folks interact with each other, which I really enjoy. You can send questions or comments to This Is My Bourbon Shop at threadless.com if you would like to send in other questions for the mailbag. If you want to call in, of course, it is 859-428-8253. You can leave us a voicemail, send questions, comments. What was our question for this week?
Oh, what craft distilleries in your area do you think are going to blow up in 2020?
Right. So We would love to hear from you for next week's episode. And then last but not least, you can become a supporter of the show at patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast for as little as $1 a month. You can help the show go on every single week. At $5 a month, you get exclusive content like bonus episodes. At $10, you get to be a part of our hangouts. We had our very first hangout this past Friday, which I know that I have been talking about and promising for a long time, but it's been hard to make it all happen. But those are going to happen every month, unless something off the wall happens, of course. But we really do appreciate everybody who helps this show continue along the way. You know, this is it. I don't know. I'm going to cut that out. Never mind. Thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode. We'll see you next week. But until then, I'm Perry.
I'm Curtis.
And I'm Swan.
And this is my Bourbon Podcast.